Hello and welcome to my one of the final episodes of the EMEA or of the VCT Roundup series. Where we today are going to talk about every single game because it's been like 4 days, but we're going to talk about every single game that has led to now the top four in each region. So if you don't know, the top four in EMEA right now are Team Vitality, Team Heretics, Foot, and Team Liquid, which is pretty crazy to me, by the way. Team Liquid have gone on a bit of a run. Um, which is fun. But I never expected Team Liquid to be that team. We'll talk about that a bit more later. We only have two games to talk about in the EMEA because I've talked about some of the other EMEA games as it's gone on. We have 6 games in Americas, and then we have 6 games in Pacific. So let's start off with the EMEA games to get it off first. We have Foot Fnatic and Team Liquid BBL. So before this, we'd seen Team Liquid beat Giants, and I was at the point where they beat Giants, I was still a bit like iffy because although they won 2-0 and it looked pretty comfortable, I felt like Giants also looked pretty terrible that day. And we know how bad Team Liquid has looked in the past, and I do think personally that BBL are better than Foot currently. But Foot absolutely destroyed Team Heretics, obviously, or absolutely destroyed Team Liquid, obviously. But yeah, Team Liquid has looked really good so far. I think they've improved really quickly. Um, and I mean, Kiko is looking like one of the best players in the world. Genuinely, like he's looking like one of the best players in the world. I still have my doubts on Team Liquid, although I will say I have them more in the pack of like, okay, Team Liquid could beat any team from BBL to KC. I would say they're on like a pretty similar level. I still think BBL are pretty good. I think they looked good in the series against Team Liquid. Although I will say like first series on Team Liquid's map, they almost brought it back, and then on their own map pick they showed they were pretty dominant, and then obviously they were up 10-6 and didn't just win a single round. So I feel like BBL should have won this game, but Liquid managed to bring it back, which is why I'm still a bit iffy on if Team Liquid are as good as they think we are. But this would be a crazy game for Team Liquid to win. Like if Team Liquid win this, what a fucking story. Like Team Liquid, like if Team Liquid goes on this run and goes to the lower finals, like that's fucking crazy, no? Like to me, this would be such a crazy lower bracket run if that happens. And obviously, we gotta talk about Fnatic because I was so hype after this game, man. Sure, Gentlemates weren't like incredible already. Like they had lost, they won against Gentlemates or Apex pretty comfortably, but then lost to Team Heretics, obviously. Then beat Koi. So they hadn't played like many good teams, but I feel like when we saw them, they looked good. And although I'd say they probably looked like on a similar level to maybe like a Team Liquid, um, I still feel like Gentlemates looks like a pretty okay roster. It was like one of those rosters where it's like if Fnatic win against them comfortably, they're looking better, right? And they did. I mean, Kayak has just gotten better and better with every game. But yeah, this Abyss was fucking ridiculous, and then this Fracture, obviously. I still am confused why Fnatic play Fracture so much. I mean, I get if Boaster likes calling it, which is what I've heard, is why they're playing it so much. But like, I don't know. I just don't think it's looked particularly good. Like, not being able to attack on a map like Fracture is like as we see in this game that happens. They got punished for it. When they played against a better team. So like in the first game on Abyss, Foot picked against Fnatic's Abyss. Fnatic got a solid first half, but then couldn't defend, which is fair enough. I do think Fnatic looked pretty poor on this Abyss, but overall, I just think also that like They just didn't have a particularly good day here. Like, also, as you see here, look at this. Like, they got 6-6 on defense on Fracture. Like, that should be good. But as I said, historically, for some reason, this series, Fnatic was better. Has been so terrible attacking on Fracture, and has been great on defending. 6-6 is not that good, although it should be really good for a defensive Fracture. But they just could not win a round on attack the second they started playing against a good team. And it's just brutal. Yeah. I mean, Fnatic look like they need to change a lot. Like, change a lot. A lot. A lot. I feel like what I don't understand though about Fnatic right now is, sure, I get why they want to play Fracture. But we know we have a really fucking good Haven. Like, we know our Haven is, like, really, really good. Like, Fnatic's Haven from last year, we know that Haven is good. Like, sure, it went to overtime against Na'Vi. But this overtime this was like, we should have won this a long time ago. Like, we just could not attack that map for some reason. But otherwise, like, we should have won that game. Like, easily we should have won that game a lot earlier. And we know our Haven is good. And Fnatic is on Lotus. We know we can play Lotus. Like, I feel like not... Like, why are we starting to ban Lotus now? Like, what are we doing here? Like, I can get that you want to play Fracture. But, like, you know you have, like, multiple maps in this map pool now. Like, we can play Fracture, Haven, Lotus. We can play all those three. And let's say that, sure, our Fracture isn't amazing. But, like, we know we've been good on both these maps. So why aren't we picking one of them? Like, sure, our Lotus didn't look great yet last year. Yes. But, like, we know how to play Lotus. I don't know. I just feel like the way they've been started to pick maps is just weird to me. Like, their map vetoes have been weird, and I don't understand why they're playing the maps they're playing. I don't know. This team is just not looking good right now, in my opinion. So yeah. But yeah, overall, when it comes to ratings, Foot actually got a -1 here, which might seem weird as they completely destroyed Fnatic. But I just think Foot actually didn't look that good here. And it was mostly just... Fnatic should have won the first map. They just fucking threw. Like, if you look at this first map, like, they were up 10-7 and then could not win a round whatsoever. Like, what are we doing here? And it's the same here. Like, getting 6 on defense and Fracture, you should win that map, but they just can't attack. So Foot didn't actually look that good. It was just Fnatic that absolutely fucking threw that game. And then BBL Team Liquid, I mean, yeah, Team Liquid are looking a lot better. So yeah, Team Liquid got up to an 86. BBL got down a bit. Fnatic down a bit. Foot down a bit. I do think Fnatic, if they just put everything together, they can still be on the same level as these teams. But currently they're looking pretty poor, and that's why I'll have them pretty high. Moving on to APAC, we have a lot to go through here. Starting off with the game, we have T1 versus Talon, which was a fucking game. Let me tell you that much. This game was insane. It was basically just T1 looking better on the decider, and each team having, like, being absolutely dominant on the map pick. And I think overall, I did think T1 looked way too bad on that bind to be considered to be good. That's why I made them -1 and Talon a 0, because I do feel like overall T1 did not look good enough that game to be warranted anything more than that. So yeah. Moving on to where the fuck did that game go? There we go. Gen G versus DRX, where I feel like, yes, DRX, in my opinion, is the best team in APAC right now, and might be a top 5 team in the world right now. I do think it's close, but I do think they might be top 5 in the world right now, genuinely. And freeing Heung-min and Bane have looked so good this year. I mean, this first map, DRX just got 9 on Abyss attack and then closed it out. And then the second map, to be fair, DRX should have closed this out much sooner. Like, this should not have been that close in the second map, but it was, which is concerning. Which is slightly concerning to me, and that's why I don't have him in the top 5 right now. But I do think DRX will be T1. And if this is a comfortable win for DRX, which I could literally see this being a comfortable win for T1 for DRX, like that's how good DRX has looked. I just simply like, I don't know. I just see that this DRX game, this could be a comfortable win for DRX, but it could. I feel like either it's close and T1 might win, or it's a comfortable win. Like, the only team I can see winning this game comfortably is DRX. So yeah. Moving on, we then had Nongshim beating RRQ, which was probably one of the games, like one of the best Pacific games I think I've ever seen. Like, it genuinely might like compete with that APAC final between Boom and Simprisa. Like, that game was fucking ridiculous. That second map, I'll notice, holy fuck. But also at the same time, like, RRQ through again, man. Like, sure, okay. For some reason, teams are absolutely throwing against Genji. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, even DRX on this map, but for some reason, it feels like teams throw against them. But like, even here now, RRQ has shown twice that they just throw away maps. Like, this first map was really close, but at the same time, it shouldn't have been. They were up 12-9, and then lost the final 3 rounds, and then managed to close it out in overtime. And then this one as well. Here, it was actually them that kind of came back, you'd think, because it's 11-6 here. But, like, they got 5 on defense on Lotus. This should never have gone to an 11-6. Like, they threw this round, and then somehow they managed to win out Thrifty, but they lose the round after. Like, what the fuck are they doing here? Like, sure, if they win Pistol here, fair enough. 9-5. Okay. But then they should win. And coming back here to 12-12 is fair enough, but Nongshim kind of threw in the end here. But this should have been a pretty solid win for RRQ, as it was. But then, obviously, it went literally like 17 rounds of overtime, and no, wait. It's kind of 17 rounds. It was 17 rounds of overtime, but it's not like 17, like, you get what I mean. Or actually 18 rounds of overtime. And Nongshim managed to win it eventually. Which, yeah, I mean, RRQ should have won that map, in my opinion. And then, obviously, final map, RRQ was once again just through the second half. Although, I will say, Nongshim looked good on the first half, and then just destroyed them on the second half. Like, defense on Pearl, getting 6 is pretty decent already. So, I feel like Nongshim looked good, yes. But also, RRQ kind of threw away that game. As I do feel like they should have won both of these maps to begin with. So yeah. Then we have DFM versus Paper X. And holy fuck, is Paper X terrible right now. I don't know if it's just that Paper X are like in a slump, or if it's just that they have poor meta reads, which I do think they do. Or if it's just something like that. But it's just not looking good right now. Like, they genuinely just got outshot here. Like, it feels like Paper X have relied so much on mechanics that when they can't do that anymore, like, sure, this team is looking worse than they have before, yes. But before, they've still been able to get top 4 just based on purely mechanics. But here, it looked like they were getting outshot. Like, genuinely. Like, this was not close. This was not a close game. I still do feel like if DFM and PaperX played again, PaperX has a chance. That was just like a terrible performance from PaperX. Like, just a terrible performance. And I feel like you really see that when you look at the Genji DFM game. But we're first going to talk about Nongshim Talon, where I'm kind of sad. I wanted Nongshim to go further, but to be fair, they played Talon. I mean, Talon is supposed to be better than Nongshim, in my opinion. They won their map pick, and then Talon won theirs, and then Talon just destroyed them on split. So yeah, I think Nongshim is still a good team in APAC. I do. As you see, I still have them 4th. And somehow I still have Talon 6th, which is because I don't think I've changed the ratings here. I have not changed the ratings from the Nongshim game. That's interesting. But yeah, I gave Nongshim to a 90, and then Talon to a 91, I'm pretty sure. If we check again. Yeah. So if we would take this region and sort, that's what it looks like to me. I do think Nongshim would be a close game against RRQ again. But I do think Talon is like slightly better at this point. Do I think Talon will beat Genji? If they play like they did against DFM, no. Against DFM, Genji looked really fucking good. Like, I gotta say, like, they looked like the better team, which is why I'm so concerned for PaperX, because like it wasn't really particularly close whatsoever in this game. And I do think Talon has looked mid. Like, they have looked solid, but they have looked slightly worse than I thought. So that's why I think Genji will eventually come out with a win against Talon here. Although it could be close, definitely. So yeah, moving on to Americas. And holy shit, do we have some games to talk about here. Let's start by talking about this fucking Loud Sen game, because holy fuck. I mean, to be fair, I think Sen had a slightly bad day, especially considering what we've seen from Loud after that point. But like, holy fuck, was that a good game. That was such a fun game to watch. And I actually put Loud up after that game because I do think they looked pretty good. But I also do think Sen looked a bit worse than I thought. But overall, just a really good game. Going on to G2 Lev, I mean, to me, G2 is the best team in the world right now, and it's not really close. I genuinely believe if G2 looked like they did in that game and Sen looked like they did in this game, G2 Sen should literally be another 2-0 blowout for G2. Like, Sen could make it close. Don't get me wrong. But G2, if they look that good and Sen look this bad, like, G2 should absolutely destroy Sentinels here. MIBR EG. MIBR are back. MIBR are definitely back. I mean, losing 0-2 to 100 Thieves to begin with was a pretty terrible game from them. But ever since then, it's like they woke up. They really did. Like, truly, they woke up, and now I'd say they're looking like a top 4 team. Oops. But yeah, I would say that MIBR are probably... I would say against Crew it's going to be close, but they're looking like a top 3 team in the region right now after this week of games. Then we have Crew NRG, and let's just say that Crew has looked a lot better now. First game against Loud, it looked like they just did not have it in them. And then ever since then, obviously they got the fucking Crew Loud rematch later here and absolutely destroyed Loud the second time. But basically, I would say this. Crew just did not look like they were ready that first game, and then they got to play 2G, had some fun, and then ever since then have never looked back. I mean, to be fair, NRG did not look good. Like, I do think Verno had a pretty poor tournament overall, which I'm saddened about because I do feel like Verno overall as a player is gonna be one of the best players in the world. And to see him have such a poor like first tournament is kind of saddening to me, as I do really like Verno as a player as well. Um, but yeah, overall, this game was just like a pretty much just a pretty close game where I do feel like Crew should have won this game though, because like, how do you lead for 8-4 on defense on after a defensive half on Haven and then go ahead and lose? Like that should never happen. Obviously, Abyss is the most accurate map in the game, so I don't care that NRG managed to get 7 here and still lost because first off, it was Crew's map pick. Second off, this map's attacker sided as fuck, so getting 7 is already like pretty mid. But yeah, Crew should have won this in 2, but then yeah, final map was not really close again. So yeah, obviously mod is fucking ridiculous. Has looked fucking ridiculous. But yeah, overall, I just think Crew should have won this in 2. But overall, still they looked really good, and then they showed why they should have won that in 2 against Loud. As yeah, first map pretty much just a blowout on Bind, and then second map, once again they should have won this a lot earlier, but eventually managed to close it out. I do think if Crew put it together, they can beat MIBR, but MIBR are looking really good right now. Like, talking about them, Leviathan game, MIBR looked really good this game, and I do think, while I do think Lev should probably have won this game to begin with, as they did have a really good first map, and then got a pretty mid first half, managed to bring it pretty close here, and then obviously was up 9-8 here, and then lost 4 rounds in a row, and then almost managed to win it in overtime, but it was kind of a fake comeback. But yeah, Leviathan could have won this game, basically is what I'm trying to say. And I do think these two teams are pretty close. And I do think currently I would not be able to pick the best South American team. Like, it's so close. Like, even Loud, Lev, Crew, MIBR are all so close and so bunched together. Although I will say after Loud's game against Crew, which was a pretty terrible game, I'm a bit lower on Loud. And I do think these 3 teams have a higher ceiling than Loud, but I do think Loud overall has like Loud has a really solid roster to me. Like they do. But I just I think Crew just has more star power. Like they have Mizzino, Shy, and Kesnet. Like that's already like so much star power, and obviously MIBR has Noswer, Arzine, Aspas. Like this team is supposed to be almost like a Brazilian super team, genuinely. Obviously, the tier 2 players are a bit difficult to rate, but I do think they are on that level. And Lev, Tex is probably one of the most underrated players in the entire region. Demon 1 finally looked good. Natank, I do think have looked really solid. And then King and Calm, well, they're just 2 of the best players in the world. So like this Lev team is also supposed to be like a super team. I do think they made slight downgrades from last year, but they still should be a top team. While Loud, I will say, I have some doubts in their players, and I do think their individual star power is not as good. But yeah, overall, I'd say the game has been pretty good, and it's so exciting for the top 4s now. I do think that it's kind of funny how Crew once again has gone on a lower bracket run. I'd say that MIBR has also gone on the lower bracket run, so it's going to be really interesting to see this game. This is like the fight of the South American lower bracket runs, and it's going to be I think overall, like this game could be a blow up, but it could be really. I think both these games are gonna be really fun. I mean, I would say same in all regions. Like T1 DRX, Talon, Genji, like all these games are gonna be fun. I do think EMEA overall has the region that I'm the least excited for. Although this game should be a gigabanger. Like if Foot does what they did against them here, this top 3 could be interesting. But I do think that Team Vitality and Team Heretics are just on a different level right now. That this game for me doesn't really matter too much. And I do think Team Liquid has maybe not reached their limit on how good they can be, but like the teams that they won against, I feel like they won in more of a fluky way. As I do feel like they've looked really good this tournament. Meanwhile, the teams they won against have just not performed on the day. So yeah. Overall, though, I do think it's going to be fun. I do think EMEA is the most top-heavy region right now, as I do think that EMEA has 2 of the top probably 5 teams in the world, and then just have nothing. Then in Americas, they have the best team in the world, and then they have a very close region after that. And then APAC, I would say, is the most mid-region. Like, it's just like, nothing is really that good. The only team I would argue could potentially be a top 5 team is DRX. And that's if they look good against T1. They probably will be. Otherwise, it's a pretty mid-region in APAC in general. So yeah. Overall, though, really fun. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.